show you how to begin getting comfortable soloing over non-diatonic chord changes today. That's what I was doing in the intro. Basically, the idea is to make it sound like it's seamless, even though you have two chords you have to play over that do not belong in the same key with each other. So we're having to change the key of the scale as we move through the progression. This happens a ton in jazz, but it gets more complicated because you might have to change the key and switch to a different mode or scale as the chords go by. So a good way to get that simplified so you can start is to play over something like that was in that track there. So what was going on in that track were two chords of the same type. So it was an E major 7. So this is kind of like your jazzy, kind of loungy, happy chord. And then a C major 7. So they're the same type of chord. They both have this happy, jazzy, loungy feel, but they're in two different keys. And there isn't a major scale that will fit over both of those. So we have to switch scales. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a thing called Lydian mode over that. We'll discuss that later, so don't worry about that. But basically, modes just indicate what step of the scale you're starting the major scale from. Okay, so basically, as long as the scale contains the notes of the chord, it's a good match for it. Okay, and sometimes we play outside and we play strange notes that aren't a match on paper but are kind of interesting. But we're going to keep it within the rules for right now, because you want to learn your rules first and then learn how to break them. So basically, E Lydian mode is the notes of a B major scale. Okay, so I'm going to play B major scale. This is like the position where you'd have like a G sharp minor scale, if you think box 1, like G sharp minor pentatonic. So we're going to play in this general area. Okay, and there's different ways to finger that. I'm just showing you the caged version there. Okay, so at that 4th fret position, you've got 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, go down a fret, 1, 2, 4, go back up, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4. Now to really make this kind of jive with the chord here, it's an E major scale, E major 7 chord, sorry. So I need to know within this B major scale that I'm playing where the E's are. Okay, so we have an E here and here. So that way if I'm playing over that, okay, so that's kind of what's going to happen there. Then it goes to a C major 7 chord. So a C Lydian mode is just a G major scale starting at C. So a G major scale contains the notes of this chord. So what we have to ask ourselves is, well, if I'm in this part of the neck here, I don't want to have to jump up to this same shape, which would be way up here, and have it sound like a slide whistle when I'm playing. I want it to be seamless. So I want to try to stay in the same part of the neck, but change the notes, changing the key signature thereby to account for the chord, and it will sound seamless if we do it right. So in the same part of the neck, if I were to kind of move down here, G major scale would be like way down here with this same shape I used for the B major scale. So if I walked up, right around here on the 5th fret is the general area that's in the same part of the G major scale that overlays the B major. Okay, so I'll show you. It's at the 5th fret. It's going to go 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, shift down to the 4th fret. 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4. Shift back to the 5th fret. 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4. Okay, so if I know that, what you could start practicing is just walking the notes of B major, and then move up a fret, and let's descend in G major. And then go back to B major. Mess that up. Now, of course, if you know 3-note per string scales, you can use those too. So maybe I decide I want to go. Now, maybe I change keys now. Then we change keys. And so that's the trick to getting that to work. Now, you're not going to be comfortable a lot of times on certain backing tracks or certain songs you're playing over because the chords might change, every couple of bars. Which maybe you can't handle that. So we have loop pedals. We also have, in recording softwares, I could get a piece of audio and grab that section and loop it over and over. So I think this is a good place to start. So I'll show you. If I, let me turn on a looper here. And let's say if I just loop part of the chord progression. So I'm just going to loop just that part there. All right, so we've got just going to practice playing that over that E major 7 chord, playing the B major scale. Okay, so we're just going to play the notes of it. And you can even play your 3-note per string thing if you wanted to do that. Okay, then we can find our targets. Remember, there's an E here and here. So maybe I'll start playing around with that. If you know your pentatonic, the box 1 position, think G sharp minor, E major, I can also play around with that idea. So, or do little double stops a la Hendrix, right? So. Okay, so that starts becoming comfortable. All right, let's turn that off. So the next step is we record the other chord, and let's do that. So we're going to do the C major 7. So we do the same idea. Okay, so in that part of the neck, remember you're going to have to move like up a fret to the 5th fret, and we're just going to walk the notes. String in this pattern would be okay, but that's the general area of the neck where I was playing in the other scale. Okay, so it's C Lydian, so I'm thinking, where are my C's? Well, I have a C here, E string 8th fret, I have a C on the 5th fret of the 3rd string, I have a C on the 8th fret again of the high E string, and if I were to do, there's a C there. So I can try starting around those notes. You can do all this cool jazzy stuff where you like slide into a note. Or it's a little chromatic thing, so I'm adding a note. That's a topic for another day, you know. But the idea is you get comfortable in that position. So, okay. So we get comfortable with both of those, okay? And then the next step is to make a loop that's a little longer than what we already had in the backing track. So maybe we give it like double the bars or quadruple the bars, whatever you need to do. The idea is to give yourself more time to kind of meander around, get lost for a second, find where you are, then play a little bit, and then the key changes and you kind of do the same thing again, rather than a constant state of being lost and panicking and going, what do I do? Okay, so we're going to make a longer progression there. The other thing you might want to think about doing if you're making a loop with this is to, even though I'm kind of doing a cool rhythm there, maybe you want to do a simpler thing, like so that you're not, paranoid about matching the rhythm or it doesn't have anything that tries to influence the way you're playing and stump you, because sometimes it's actually not the switching of the key that's messing with you. It's the different rhythmic feel of it is something you're not comfortable playing over. So we could make that simplified a little more so that it doesn't influence you to feel like you have to play a rhythmic subdivision or a swing feel or any kind of a jazz type thing that you're not uncomfortable knowing how to do. All right, so I'm going to loop a really vanilla kind of thing, but I'll make it double the amount of bars. 7 to C major 7. So I'm thinking, okay, and then maybe I'm thinking, okay, I gotta change. Then I'm thinking, okay, I can feel the change is gonna come in. Okay, then I'm thinking, okay, the change is gonna come here. So maybe you're comfortable here, and then the change is gonna happen. So rather than waiting, I can feel I'm in an area of the neck where the shape's just 1/2 step away. You know, or like if I were doing that, watch what happens. Maybe I'll do a jazzy thing and end up in the next key. Some of that's more successful than others because I'm landing on chord tones. So the idea is that you don't notice when it happens, right? Remember, I can also think pentatonic here, right? So if I were playing a G major scale, this part of the neck would be like the 3rd pentatonic box if you're thinking E minor pentatonic. And then right here would be if you're thinking G sharp minor pentatonic or B major pentatonic, that's the 1st position. So watch when I move up, this is what. To these things if you want it. See, now I'm in this part of the neck, so I'd be thinking, you know your B major scale, it's that, and then you have to move up a fret, and then, right, so on and so on. So, key change. Oops, missed the key change there, but you know, you can play around with this a little. Key change. So that's how that stuff works. So basically, if you're thinking of the caged boxes or the 3-note per string, you basically have like a 1 fret offset between them, right? So if you've got box 1 is here in caged, if you're thinking G sharp minor pentatonic or G sharp minor scale or B major, however you want to think about it, there's the box 1 position. It's going to be the right there at the 4th fret, and then if you go up a fret, you're going to be in the box 3 position if you're thinking E minor, G major scale, which you remember is where we derive the C Lydian mode over the C major 7 chord. Okay, anyway, that's how this stuff works. And so what I would do is just take a region of the neck and get comfortable with this, shifting up a fret and going up 2 boxes in the scale pattern, basically going to your 3rd. So you're thinking there's Box 1, up a fret, you go to box 3, and that will give you the notes of your G major scale, aka C Lydian, okay, from your B major scale, aka E Lydian, over the E major 7 chord. So you have a 1 fret, 2 box offset, basically. That's how that thing works. And just do that and get comfortable in a region of the neck, then go to the next region, and pretty soon the whole thing will flow. But the goal there, when it's going well, is that the audience is unaware that those two chords don't belong in a key together. You know, because the chords do sound cool. It's a cool change. They sound nice. And they do share a lot of the same notes if you think about it. Because the C major 7 chord has C, E, G, B, and the E major 7 is E, G, B, D sharp. So there's a lot of similar stuff going on there. But that's why there's kind of a connection. They almost want to substitute for each other, but they're a little bit different, and that's why they're in two different keys. But once you start becoming comfortable with that, that opens up the door to things like maybe we can play over chord progressions where you have to be able to go between the modes of, you know, a major scale and harmonic minor or melodic minor, and you're able to navigate that little by little. But that's the technique I would use, is you basically deconstruct the thing. So you choose something where it's the same type of chord, in where each chord is in a different key where they don't belong together in one key. That way it's easy to deal with mentally because you're thinking, okay, I can do one type of a mode. So for example, you could have done this with minor 7, and you'd think, okay, I'll do Dorian over the minor 7, and then I'll pick another minor 7 chord that's not diatonic in the key, you know, and then you're still doing Dorian over that other one. It's just a different key. That way you're handling one thought process, but because you're having to add, you know, an extra mental process of thinking about switching keys within the same region of the neck. So you start with that, and then you take the progression you're dealing with and you break it apart and maybe loop one chord and get comfortable thinking about that in that part of the neck. Then you loop the other chord in the progression and do the same in that region of the neck, but change the scale. And then you go back to adding both chords, but what you're going to do is you're going to lengthen the number of bars, double, quadruple, whatever you need to, so that you have time to mentally manage changing keys. You know, then gradually you get better at anticipating the change and making it sound natural. A lot of it's like chromatic movement, looking for places where the next note in the next key is right next door to it chromatically, so it flows. It just sounds like it goes where it needs to go. And then eventually you attempt playing over the real thing, full speed, the correct number of bars, and then it just becomes second nature. Okay, and gradually you branch out from one region where you can get it sounding really professional to the regions around it, and then pretty soon the whole neck works that way, and you can handle that. And you could extrapolate this idea out and make it have like a third non-diatonic chord of the same type and do the same thing and get used to handling more information until it becomes very easy. But that's the process of it. Anyway, I hope this helped you out. Please see all the links in the description below if you're interested in working with me for lessons or recording. Thanks a lot.